What is needed is issue-specific directive counseling. Issue-specific counseling. For what? For treatment of narcissism and emotional abuse. Have you been given an ultimatum to go to counseling or else? While that isn't the ideal situation, it is a reality for many men. And I've developed a program called The Core that will help you go from I don't want or need to be here mindset to a I want to be the best, healthiest version of myself for me. You will be challenged to grow up, required to do the painstaking work necessary to really change, to explore blind spots, destructive patterns which you've been denying. Not superficial changes, but depth, character change. We can help you change and grow. If a man has been involved in narcissistic and emotional abuse, you can just send them to counseling, right? No, you can't. Treatment for narcissistic and emotional abuse is incredibly complicated, incredibly involved, and requires very, very specific and special skills. Hello, I'm Dr. David Hawkins, Director of the Marriage Recovery Center and the Emotional Abuse Institute. And I want to have a very, very frank and candid conversation with you about treatment for narcissism and emotional abuse. Treatment for narcissism and emotional abuse is possible. I know many of you have heard it is not. Well, it is. Like anything, treatment is possible, but it's complicated, it's involved, and it requires issue-specific directive counseling. Let me say that again, because it's very important to understand. Treatment involves issue-specific directive counseling. Too often, narcissistic and emotionally abusive men are sent to counseling. Well-intentioned, absolutely well-intentioned, sent to counseling. They're told, go and figure it out, which is absolutely impossible. It's impossible. They cannot go and figure it out. They may go and get counseling, but guess what they're going to do? They're going to complain about you. They're going to complain about their marriage. All right, if they're not to be sent to counseling, what's required then? What they should not do is be sent to some generic counseling where they can talk about whatever they want to talk about. No, no, no. Let me tell you what treatment should consist of. Number one, they should be challenged to learn about the dynamics of narcissism and emotional abuse. What does emotional abuse look like exactly? What are the patterns of emotional abuse? And that's point number two. They should be confronted with their long-standing patterns of abuse in the relationship. In other words, they should do an inventory, contrasted with reading about emotional abuse, looking at lists and the patterns that are typified of emotional abuse. How does their life mimic emotionally abusive patterns? What are their specific patterns? Do they blame shift? Do they become inordinately defensive? Do they stonewall, withdraw? Are they passive aggressive? Are they dominant? Are they controlling? Do they have anger issues? What are these long-standing patterns, and what has been the impact on their victim? That's point number 3. They should be challenged to receive feedback on the impact of their behavior and to discuss that in group. So in our groups, they write out an impact letter. Here's what I've been like to live with, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And then they give it to their mate, who gives them feedback. This is a very, very difficult and challenging process, as you might imagine. Point number 4, in this issue-specific directive counseling, they should be confronted with their particular thinking error patterns of denial, minimization, rationalization, justification, playing the victim. All of these patterns that they use again and again and again and again to avoid what? To avoid feeling healthy shame and sorrow and remorse. Number 5, they should be challenged to learn about empathy and healthy communication skills, healthy listening skills, really understanding what it's like to walk in the shoes of another person. And number 6, they should be confronted with developing healthy communication, validation patterns. All of these skills are woven together then in a comprehensive treatment program. Finally, these men must be held accountable for real change. Real change. Not just words. And by the way, this involves confrontation again and again and again and again. It is difficult for the treating clinician. It is difficult for the participating man. It's difficult for the partner of this abusive man. Everybody is working very, very hard to turn this thing around. All right. Treatment is possible, but it is challenging, it is complicated, it is involved, and it requires very, very skilled clinicians. Treatment is possible. It's challenging. If this is of interest to you, we've got a client care team ready to answer your questions, help you decide what is the next best step for you. All right. We're here for you. We're ready to help. Take care and God bless.